Welcome to Quest for Fanghorn Castle. This is a brief overview of the game to enter into the Cardboard Edison competition, so I'll be brief and hopefully give you a good idea of how the game goes. This is the board for Quest for Fanghorn Castle. You can see it's a modular board made out of individual pieces to randomize gameplay. The overview of the game is that each player takes on the guise of a individual vampire, and you are vying for the throne of Fanghorn Castle. That is the Quest for Fanghorn Castle. So each player has their own individual vampire personality and abilities, but they share many things in common. The game is played on a phase of the day cycle. You can see here dawn, dusk, and night, in which the vampires have different abilities, capabilities, and limitations. How do we gain our resources? It's very simple. Vampires, what do? They feed on victims. So we have a nice deck here of victims. We can see that the first one I grabbed is a leper. So you're not going to get a ton out of a leper, but it's better than some other cards. For example, you have a cardinal here, which is going to be pretty good. So we have victims where you get the three main resources of the game: blood, wisdom, and coin. In addition to that, we also have VP, victory points or vampire points, and those are tracked on a separate board here with individual tokens. And this entire board, the goal of this is to build sanctuaries. Sanctuaries are places where vampires can rest and recuperate. It's also how they legitimize their claim to the throne for Fanghorn Castle. So we have these 6 sanctuaries here, plus a special 7th sanctuary, which is the castle itself. You can see that in the center tile. And the cost for these is listed out on every player's card, along with the reward for it, and the opportunity to sway the result of the reward. Sway is a great mechanic whereby you spend these cool little chips to re-roll dice. So it becomes this interesting game of probability and competition and risk-taking and risk aversion, where some of your actions will definitely help you, some may actually hurt you, and some can actually give an opponent a leg up. We have a mechanic called boon, whereby if you build a sanctuary in a certain region, you can try to get a boon card, and that will give both the first player and the last player some sort of mechanical benefit. So it becomes this weighted thing of how much do I want to help myself and how much do I want to risk helping somebody else. Now we also have, as any good vampire has, powers and lore associated with ourselves. So we have the second deck of cards called events. Now the events cards are divided into powers and lore, and to pick 2 off the top, for example, we have holy water, which happens and it's done. It takes an effect, it affects other players, and then it's done. And then we have persistent powers like hypnotism I just picked up, which is something that sticks around. So if I had hypnotism, I would put that out in front of my player, and that would be a power that I now have for the rest of the game until something replaces it. In addition to that, there's a second function of this victims deck called thralls. Vampires can also take thralls. So this leper, if I took him as a thrall, instead of just feasting on him, he becomes a helper. Now that's great because that gives me access to more abilities, to more day phases. Because as a vampire, I'm very active in the night, not very active during the day. But what can I do? Send my thralls out to do some work for me. So it becomes this great resource management game and a race game to race to see who can build the most sanctuaries the fastest and gain the most VP as they do. And the game comes to a conclusion as the balance mechanics keep it a fairly tight game for most of the gameplays that we've played. And usually players are within a couple of points of each other. So they're really tight, exciting games with the balance mechanics we've got worked in here. And that, I think, is the quick elevator pitch for Quest for Fanghorn Castle. Thanks so much. I'm really looking forward to submitting a prototype to this competition. Thank you.